In 1744, in a narrow and crowded Jewish street in Frankfurt, a boy was born into a world that offered him very little power, very few rights, and almost no freedom. That boy's name was Mayer Amschel Rothschild. At the time, Jews in Frankfurt were forced to live in a confined district called the Judengasse. They could not own land freely. They could not move without permission. Their business opportunities were limited. Yet within a single lifetime, that boy would begin building a financial network that would stretch across Europe. Within 2 generations, his family would be lending money to kings, financing wars, funding railways, and advising governments. This is the story of how that happened. Mayer Amschel Rothschild was born into a modest family. His father worked as a coin dealer and money changer. This trade was one of the few financial professions open to Jews at the time. When Mayer was still young, both of his parents died. He was sent to Hanover, where he trained in banking under the Oppenheimer family, who were court bankers. There, he learned something critical. Wealth and power were deeply connected to information and trust. When he returned to Frankfurt, he did not start as a major banker. He began by dealing in rare coins and antiques. But his clients were not ordinary people. Many were nobles and wealthy collectors. One of them was Crown Prince Wilhelm of Hesse-Kassel, one of the richest men in Europe. Mayer carefully built a relationship with him. Over time, he gained the prince's trust and began managing financial matters on his behalf. This relationship became the foundation of the Rothschild fortune. Mayer Amschel. Rothschild did not think small. He believed in long-term strategy and strong family unity. He had 5 sons: Amschel, Salomon, Nathan, Carl James. Instead of keeping them all in Frankfurt, he sent each one to a different major European city. Amschel remained in Frankfurt. Salomon went to Vienna. Nathan moved to London. Carl settled in Naples. James established operations in Paris. This move was brilliant. In the early 1800s, moving money between countries was slow and risky. Wars were common. Governments often needed urgent loans. Information traveled by horse and ship. Delays could cost millions. The Rothschild brothers created a coordinated family banking network across Europe. They trusted one another completely. They shared information quickly through private couriers. They acted as one unified system. That gave them a huge advantage over competitors. The early 19th century was dominated by the Napoleonic Wars. European powers were fighting for control. Armies needed funding. Governments required gold and credit. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, who operated in London, became especially important during this time. Britain needed to move funds across Europe to support its allies against Napoleon. Because the Rothschild family had branches in several countries, they were able to transfer money more efficiently than most institutions. Nathan helped arrange large financial operations for the British government. He dealt heavily in government bonds, which were used to raise money for war expenses. After the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, Britain emerged as a dominant global power. Nathan's influence in London increased significantly. Over time, the London branch became one of the strongest private banks in Europe. The Rothschild name was now firmly established in international finance. Throughout the 19th century, the Rothschild family became deeply involved in government finance. They lent money to the British government, the Austrian Empire, France, Prussia, various smaller European states. They also invested in infrastructure projects, especially railways. Railways were transforming Europe during the Industrial Revolution. Countries needed massive capital to build tracks, buy equipment, and expand transportation networks. The Rothschild banks financed major railway systems in France and Austria. They also invested in mining operations, including mercury mines in Spain, which were important for industrial production. By the mid-1800s, the Rothschild family was considered one of the wealthiest and most influential private banking families in the world. However, it is important to remain factual. They were powerful financiers, but they did not rule governments. They worked with governments as lenders and advisors. Even with their wealth, the Rothschild family faced discrimination. Anti-Semitism was widespread in Europe during the 19th century. Despite this, the family gradually gained social recognition. In Austria, members were granted noble titles. In Britain, Lionel de Rothschild became the first Jewish member of parliament in 1858 after legal restrictions were removed. This was a major social change. It showed that financial success could slowly open doors that had been closed for centuries. The family also became known for philanthropy. Different branches supported hospitals, schools, scientific research, and Jewish community organizations. They were not only financiers, but also patrons of culture and education. One reason for their success was internal discipline. Meyer Amschel Rothschild created strict family rules. Marriages were often arranged within extended family circles to preserve wealth and trust. Business decisions were coordinated carefully between branches. Information was treated as power. The family maintained strong communication through private couriers and coded letters. In an age before telegraphs were widely used, this system gave them speed and reliability. Trust between the brothers was central. This unity allowed them to operate across borders during times when Europe was politically unstable. World War I reshaped Europe. Empires collapsed, monarchies fell, financial systems changed. Then came World War II. The Austrian branch of the Rothschild family suffered heavily when Nazi Germany annexed Austria in 1938. Jewish families faced persecution. Rothschild properties were seized. Family members were forced to flee. After the war, some assets were returned, but the world had changed permanently. Private family banking houses were no longer as dominant as they had been in the 19th century. Central banks, public markets, and large multinational institutions began to take over global finance. The Rothschild banks adapted, but their role shifted. Today, the Rothschild family does not operate as a single global empire. Different branches run financial firms independently. One of the main institutions is Rothschild & Company. It specializes in wealth management. The family is also involved in winemaking. Chateau Lafite Rothschild in Bordeaux is one of the most famous wine estates in the world. Modern members of the family are involved in finance, business, philanthropy, and environmental initiatives. Because of their wealth and historical influence, the Rothschild family has been the subject of many conspiracy theories. Some of these stories claim they control global banking systems or secretly manage world governments. These claims are not supported by historical evidence. Historically, the Rothschilds were highly successful international bankers during a period when private banking houses played a major role in government finance. If you enjoyed this story and want a more clear, well-researched history like this, subscribe to the channel and stay with us for the next episode.